Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch. And on today's show, do you know what? I'm really excited because
excited.
People say that we are the go-to place for surf information, right?
Who says that?
Said it there, so now there's a record of people having said it.
Right, okay.
with no justification at all. But we're actually going to bring an informative piece in this episode. It's a company I've been involved with for a while. I've been an advocate of for the reasoning and for your safety, the listeners. This is one to check out. So who are we chatting to, Pete?
We are chatting to the guys and gals from Surf Mould Pro. Surf Mould Pro. And I have now used them. And I've got to say, they're bloody fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I don't want to say too much. Right, I think we'll go into this episode and hear what they have to say, and then we'll come back and give you our thoughts on it afterwards and what we think and what we found by using them.
I think that's a fair way of doing it because I'm cautious that I might sound like the hard salesman. You know, when I've always advocated that's not the case. Going back to the point, something I genuinely love, believe in, and think it's fantastic. So check this one out and let us know your thoughts at the end, where we'll share ours.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so we're recording, so if either one of you wants to start and tell us a bit about who you all are and
what we're doing here.
Okay, hi, my name's Gavin. I'm with Surf Mould Pro. So our main role is to make custom fitted surf plugs, and they are moulded, so they are custom fitted for the individual. With the intention of preventing any water, cold water, air going in the ear and preventing surfer's ear.
And, you know, before we get into the importance of that, I like how reluctant you were to come in the first place, but we gave both of you the option to answer and you were straight in to jump on that intro.
If Judy tells me to answer the questions, I will answer the questions.
The secret showman. That's what it is.
So, and you are the...
Yeah, so I'm Julie. I'm an audiologist, and I just...
Look in people's ears.
Yeah, look in people's ears, try and make people aware about surfer's ear and try and encourage them to protect their ears.
So, look in people's ears is a little bit of a sort of understatement of what you do, isn't it? Because what you've just done a minute ago is we'll overlay the video on this as we're talking about it as well, is like... look in our ears, make moulds of our ears, and what's the whole process through that then? You sort of explain that bit?
The process of
take like what you do first of all onto someone's ear.
Okay, what with the impression?
From the start of looking in and
so
what
when
you can see.
Somebody comes in, we'll first of all ask them if they've got any problems with their ears, and then I'll have a look in, show them their ears with some videotoscopy, so a little camera so they can see any changes that are happening, and then we might talk a little bit about what causes surfer's ear, what they can do to prevent it. And then if they want plugs, then we go on and take an impression. And that involves just putting a little stopper in the ear to protect the ear.
Yeah.
And then some soft impression material, which takes about 5 minutes to set. And job done, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess this would be an important point to maybe explain what surfer's ear actually is for anyone who might not be aware of it. And I think maybe knowledge is power in this instance, because you must get a lot of people coming in maybe younger age as well, who have got onset of surfer's ear without realising they have it.
Yeah, absolutely. So some people come in and they're symptom free and they've already got quite advanced surfer's ear. And some people come in that, you know, they've only just been surfing for a couple of years, but they just want to prevent anything from happening.
Okay.
So surfer's ear is caused by temperature change. So if you're going in water or cold temperatures below 19 degrees, so all of the year really in the UK, what happens is the temperature flashing in and out of the ear canal can send a rush to the blood vessels in the final 2/3 of the ear canal, the bony part, and it encourages the bone to start growing inwards. So eventually the bone can completely occlude the ear canal, and that's going to cause problems along the way with things like infection, water trapping, and eventually hearing loss as well.
Okay. And the treatment for surfer's ear, from my understanding, isn't pleasant.
No, so the only treatment when it's at advanced stages is surgery.
Okay.
So that would mean quite an invasive operation under
Right.
general anaesthetic.
Okay.
And it would be removing the bone with either a drill or a small chisel.
I mean, I'm wincing.
Yeah.
Even at the thought.
And I was just going to say, and the guy sitting next to you,
Hello.
what's your name, sir?
My name is Carl. So I met this young lady because I've actually had the Surf Mould Pro, what do they call it? Impressions done, and some amazing plugs. I'm a massive advocate of this product because it helps me massively in my career, which is obviously I'm a primary school teacher, but I run something called Beach School and community classrooms. I'm a complete and utter thalassophile, which is a lover of the beach.
Yeah.
So I'm always in the ocean, always outdoors. But this particular product, the reason what drew me here, first of all, was actually just the check-up with Julie, first of all. I didn't realise the extent of how severely bad my ears were until she did the camera.
Yeah.
So that first initial, what do you call the camera?
Otoscopy.
Was it again? What's it called?
Video otoscopy.
Video otoscopy.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah. Because I thought that was a really good word.
Sounds very
It's
professional.
good, isn't
yeah.
it? It just sounds. That's why I came here. She knows what she's talking about, obviously.
You haven't got to put a funny voice on when you say the word.
You do.
You know.
Video
Otoscopy.
But no, honestly, when I sat there and she shoved the camera, gently put the camera in my ear.
Precision.
Precision. It was a bit of a shock because I've had, I'm 47 now, and I've had it's got really bad over my 30s, and I've been to see GPs. You get the ear infection, you get nose infections, what's trapped behind your ear, and you don't know actually what's going on. And I've always had medications and stuff like that, but to come and sit with Julie, and she looked in my ear, and you see it in front of you on the screen, and you kind of go, "What's that?" And then she goes, "Well, that would have been an ear canal, but there's nothing there. There's just this blubber growth that just looks like two big fat lips kissing each other instead of an ear canal." You kind of go, "Really?" And you suddenly realise how bad it is. And if it wasn't for Julie, I think, with those pictures, when I went to my GP, they were the ones that said, "Look, it's time for the operation. You're going to lose your hearing. You're going to, that's it."
Do you know what? I was actually, because you brought the pictures up a minute ago, I was, we'll overlay them now so you can see what it was like, but I was shocked to see, because it's one of those things you hear about it, but until you actually see those pictures, you're like, whoa, because the difference in before and afterwards is...
Well, we're not audiologists per se, and I wouldn't know what an ear canal picture would look like, but actually having seen both your ears and the difference on both sides, it's clear as day. I don't know what's going on, but they're very different, and it's massively different.
And also, there might be people listening to this going, "Well, you must have known, being a surfer, you must have heard of surfer's ear, you must have known it was going to happen." Yeah, I did. I never knew it was going to happen to that extent. And you feel silly, really. For years, I've by the way, I have used every product from the most stupidest things you can think of. I've used blue tack in the early days.
I mean, I've never done that.
No, it's ridiculous. I don't. Right. Warning: I do not advocate using blue tack in your ears, obviously. But back in the day, before there were anything like earplugs, you knew there was something going on when you were a young surfer. Where you couldn't get water out, you'd have earache, so you'd just try and protect it whatever you could find. Blue tack, and then you started having these products coming out, and they were testing us. They were just testing us surfers. They were shoving anything in our ears. I remember losing one in my ear once. It was hilarious. No, I'm being serious. I can't get it out.
Maybe that's why it's closed. That's what it is.
Probably that's what it is. But to get to a point where you suddenly realise, oh, that's what's happened, and I'm going to go deaf. In my job, being a teacher, I have to communicate with children. I have to listen to them talk back to me and talk back to me. I'm not just a primary school teacher. I should have said I actually run my own company as well. I run an outdoor activity club as well in sessions over the summer holidays. I am constantly outdoors, from first light till it's dark. So all I can say is, please, if you are a person that even likes going for long walks all the time in the cold, your ears, you've got to protect your ears. It's a given thing to us, our hearing. It's a beautiful thing. You don't want to lose it if you got it. You've got to start looking after your ears. And down here, with the children that I know, we're huge in surf lifesaving down here in surfing. It's the capital of surfing down here in Cornwall, especially in Newquay, with surf lifesaving clubs, surf clubs. the message has to go out to the youngsters that please protect your ears. No matter what you're putting in your ear, please protect it. Do it professionally, do it properly. But the reason I chose these was because of the amazing device she's stuck in it where I can hear.
Yeah.
So these surf plugs don't just protect my ears, not like other surf plugs, which would do the same thing. You shove them in your ear, they stop water going in, wind going in, cold going in. But these ones, it does all of that, but I can hear. Yeah. Which for me in my career is massive.
Absolutely.
And everyone needs to know that if you're a surf coach, an activity instructor, a teacher, or you just want to keep looking after your ears, protect them, keep them dry, keep them warm, and still be able to hear, I don't understand why you wouldn't want these ones.
Well, there's a safety element goes with that
exactly.
as well. For your own job specifically, if you can't hear
absolutely
kids or whatever it is, there's a massive safety implication to go with that, right?
We obviously, I'm part of also something called Holywell Bay Surf Lifesaving Club. Am I allowed to say that? Holywell Bay, woo woo. Best surf club in the world.
I have to stick up for Steve.
Other surf clubs are available.
Other surf clubs are available.
I have to stick up for Steve Bones and say Paul Free Type. I can't speak.
But no, we have on a Saturday, on a Wednesday, hundreds of kids on Holywell during the summer months, training them surf life-saving techniques, and you've got to keep them safe. We're about to take someone's most precious possession of their child for 2 or 3 hours, and we are taking them in the ocean, which is unpredictable. I don't care how good you are, a lifeguard, and we have to make sure we keep them safe. Doing that with earplugs in is okay, but you have to keep taking them out, putting them back in, taking them out, putting them back in, because you're conversing with the child, keeping them safe. But having an earplug where you can hear when you're doing the signals, signs, the whistles, the safety whistles, etc., etc., is just brilliant. That should be everywhere. That should be across the board. If you are working with coaching children outdoors, you're in the ocean or by the sea, and you need to protect your ears, you need to hear as well.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
You should get this guy to do your adverts.
Yeah.
Well, definitely.
The reason I'm so passionate about this is because it's changed for me. It's changed lots of things for me.
No, I know. From talking to you before, I mean, I could tell, like, you're just like, I can just hear now out of my, like, after obviously the operation.
Well, you can hear, that's the point.
No, it is. It is scary. I mean, I'm waffling because I get excited. I apologise to you. But when I first had that first stop, like you saw the pitch, so bad it was. I had the first stop, and it's a 2-week process of healing, and you have the first 3 days you look ridiculous, like Mr. Bump. You have this massive bandage around both ears. Yeah. You can't hear a thing. And they give you
morphine.
Still
do look a little bit like Mr. Bump.
All right. It's rude now. You're just getting personal now. But no, it's weird though, because they give you morphine to take home, because I'm not lying to you, it's going to hurt. It does hurt the first 3 days.
That's what I was going to ask.
Extremely painful.
Can you explain what happened in the operation that you have to have?
It's pretty full on. I didn't realise how full on it was. When people go, he's having an ear op, I'd be right. When I saw the pictures, I went, you're taking my ear off? Yes, so I'm going to do the voice now. So yes, we're going to cut behind your ear, pull your ear completely off, take a drill a new canal, pin the skin back, stitch the skin back, and if you look after it, hopefully it's all going to be fine. Now, luckily, I've done exactly what those doctors have told me to do.
Yeah.
Use the earplugs religiously. I even use the earplugs in the gym. I told you this. This is disgusting, but when I go to the gym, I sweat a lot. And even the sweat used to go in my ears before the op, and it would block. I wouldn't be able to hear. So I don't want anything happening to my ears now, so I even wear them in the gym, and I can still hear other gym users. But the operation itself, it's a whole day up. You go in first thing, and they do say to you, look, it's a long operation, and after the operation, even simple things like you'll have to do breathing techniques because your lungs have not been fully inflating and deflating. So afterwards, for a few days, you got to do these special big, deep breathing exercises. You're like, flipping it, this is pretty full on.
Yeah.
When I came out, I remember just telling all the nurses I loved them because I was out of it. It was morphine everywhere, which was hilarious. When that started wearing off, though, and they warned me, it hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I know ladies have given birth, so I apologise to you, and I should not moan as a bloke, but it did. I mean, I hate earache, but this is like a hot poker in your ear kind of styly, So
something you'd advocate avoiding if you could?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's not pleasant. It is not pleasant. I'm not going to lie. However, what a fantastic job that hospital did and that surgeon did for me.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks later, when the bandages were off and the packing comes out, I remember just my eyes were squinting because I could hear everything. I could hear them rustling with the things on the table. I could hear people in the background. And I felt like crying a little bit. It sounds a bit cheesy and cliche.
No.
Because I'm like, I've got 3 kids. What have I not... It sounds weird, doesn't it? But what have I not been hearing? What have I not been hearing properly?
Yeah, you started hearing them talking behind your back.
Well, exactly. I could hear I hear that now. But no, I didn't want to get to that stage. But to have to get to that stage, it's because you're not looking after your ears properly. But what I will say is, if you are going to look after your ears properly, we'll use proper products. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
There's lots out there. Yes, make sure you're using proper products. I'm just a big advocate of this one because of that valve. It's changed a lot for me.
Yeah.
So with that, could you get Surfer's ear where it's inoperable, where it goes too far and you can't do anything about it?
Not that I know of, no. I haven't heard them refusing an operation on the extent of the exostosis.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, they need to do lots of checks as you're going to general anaesthetic. So, if you had an underlying heart condition or something, then of course, yeah.
And you're also saying that they're on about they might be changing it to a lifestyle choice. So once you've had it,
so they are going a little bit more that way. So historically, they would provide microsuction to people with surfer's ear, regular microsuction.
Yeah.
Because when you've got those lumps in your ear, it disrupts the natural migration of wax. So often surfers with surfer's ear can get blocked ears just with wax not coming out naturally. But they've stopped a lot of that now because they're saying it is a lifestyle choice.
Yeah. So that would be, you could have the operation once.
Quite possibly.
And then if you had to have another one again because you didn't look after your ears after the first time, you'd be paying for it yourself.
Possibly, yeah.
And I know ages ago spoke to the guy who made surf ears as well, and I think he had to pay for that himself, and it was a very expensive operation, I think.
Yeah.
So on that, what is the difference then between something like using your product and, say, I know there's
generic
multiple, I name anyone, but there's multiple other ones.
Yeah, so Claire and I, who are both audiologists, and we would advocate wearing a plug. So, children, just get them wearing plugs, get them protecting their ears, get them into the habit of wearing a plug.
Yeah.
Because, anything is better than nothing. It's going to give you a certain level of protection. So it's just keep your ears warm. And we are just seeing younger and younger people now, teenagers with the onset of surfer's ear, people in their 20s coming in and needing the operation. So, just look after your ears, keep them warm.
And I just wanted to come back to something because you kind of picked up on it already and you've mentioned it, but I think the expression surfer's ear is maybe a little bit misleading. But, it's a bit like people make up a sport and a body part, like, tennis elbow and Formula 1 driver's knee and whatever else. But actually, it's not just for surfers, is it? Anybody that's a water user or is outdoors like yourself, and it's the wind, isn't it? It's the wind progression or constant wind.
I actually think this should be pushed out towards anybody who's thinking about going into outdoor instruction. I personally have worked in several colleges and lots of activity centres where we're seeing hundreds of youngsters who are deciding that their career path is going to be working in the outdoors, whether that's canoeing, or sailing, or climbing, or coast steering, or surfing. But if you're outdoors in your job, and you said about lifestyle, this isn't the lifestyle, this is a career now.
Yeah.
So if your career is you are outside where you will be involved in the elements all the time, and your ears going, oh no, it's getting cold, I can feel something getting in, I've got to protect myself, I'm going to grow over. You need to be looked after almost by the company as well that is employing you. So I believe that these companies or colleges should be pushing this towards these youngsters and helping them get these earplugs before they even get to a stage where they have to have the operation. So I agree with you. It's not just like surfers. I will just really quickly, because I thought it was really interesting. The surgeon, when he said to me, He said, so they call it surfer's ear, Carl. He said, do you surf? And I said, yeah, I do. So I've just said all that, and I'm just saying this now, but it wasn't just surfing, obviously. I said, yeah, I do surf. He went, where'd you surf? I said, normally the North Coast. He went, aha, that's why your left ear is worse than your right ear. And I went, what? And he went, yes, think about it. If you're sat maybe Towan, Tolkarn, Great Western, Little Fistral, prevailing winds always come from a specific. He says it's always the left ear, and I thought that was really interesting. Just thought I'd throw that in.
But you know what? You say that, it's funny because I was aware of it when I surfed today, actually. And I know I do this anyway. I also do it when I play pool. But when I'm surfing, I don't sit and face out. I sit and my board points at my closest enemy. Meaning the person that can take my wave. And I don't do it on purpose, but I will sit, and even though the waves are that way, I will sit and face that way. I'm not looking at them because I'm still looking at the wave. Yeah. And I do that, so I would go the other way around under your reasoning. And I've been an ambassador for you guys for about 2 years, I think, and like yourself, I've not had surfer's ear, but I had an ear infection from surfing when I was guilty of assuming that in the summer I didn't have to wear earplugs. So I just had an ear infection, but actually it was one of the worst experiences of my life. I think it was on one side and I was just walking in circles for the week. It was awful. So then, I had used, like yourself, a lot of generic plugs, which, like you said, they work, they do the job, they stop most water getting in, but they're not custom fitted. And so I've now been using Surf Mould Pros for 2 years, and I never ever get in the water. In fact, the first time we surfed together this week, I had them in, and you were surprised that knowing I had my plugs in, because you filmed me putting my plugs in, the ability for me to hear the conversation in the water. Yeah,
because I've worn a lot of different plugs before, and I always do that thing. I'm sat out there, someone talks to me, and I'm like, what? And then, what? And then take them out. And after the fourth time they've talked to me, I'm just like, just take them out. And they just end up staying out because I can't hear what people are saying. And you can hear them, but it's like that sort of like like you've got a blockage in your ear or something like that.
But I've noticed it speaking to people in the water when they're not wearing plugs, and they do have a surfer's ear problem, and they're shouting, they can't hear you because they've got surfer's ear.
Yeah,
and it was interesting talking about how much people know and about surfer's ear, but when we first started getting involved in it, and I'm out giving some leaflets and speaking to people, I was shocked about how many people had never heard of it.
Right.
Surfers out, so I've never really heard of that. I said, really?
You know what? I was guilty of that as well. I'd had probably over 10 years surfing before I'd even heard of it. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's... I think you're starting to see things in more surf shops and stuff like that now, but I think that's, part of it. You'd go to a surf shop, buy your board, buy your wetsuit, buy your wax. Nothing else to buy in there, all right, buy, that's it.
Knowledge is power, I think.
Yeah, I think that's something that should be in surf shops as well. Like, if you've got a surf shop, you should have something about surfer's ear in there.
Well, it's almost a responsibility, and it's something that took me by surprise again when I came on board with you guys. When I done my own research into surfer's ear, because I was aware of it, didn't really know what it meant, and going back to I only need them in the winter. The 19 degrees blew me away. But 19 degrees, our water never gets, I don't know what you guys down here, but I'm going to say you never get close to 19 degrees down here. So there's no time in the UK surfing ever where you should be in the water without something in your ear. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I think it is a misconception. People think it's got to be really cold, and they think, I'm all right in the summer.
Yeah.
And, well, actually, in the summer, most of the time, it's not that warm. Now's not too bad. September, October you're talking the warmer month. People going in on a beautiful hot summer's day in May, and the water's pretty cold, but it's always below 19. But going back to the knowledge, there's different levels of it. As I said, some people have never heard of surfer's ear, a lot of them. Some have heard of it. It's almost a bit like, oh yeah, I've heard of it. And because they're not getting any symptoms, they don't see it as an issue. But you won't get the symptoms until you're really getting close to that, in the 90% occlusion. Which is so it's about spreading that word, isn't it?
I think we're seeing more of that now, actually, in Cornwall. Is more people coming in to prevent, so they perhaps might have been surfing for 2 or 3 years, and they've seen more people wearing plugs, so they're looking to protect their ears rather than what's it before the horse is bolted, or I can't remember the phrase, but so that's really positive that we're seeing more people now, because more people are wearing plugs, especially like the Nuki area and Penzance where Claire is. It's the word's getting out there, like the education's getting out there, and it is, as an audiologist, so upsetting to get a young 25-year-old come in, perhaps saying, I've started having a bit of water trapping, and you look in their ears and they're 95% occluded and they had no idea.
Right.
So, that's not a very nice part of our job, really.
No. So in that, when you're saying like 19 to 95, a lot of people are going to go, what does that mean?
Okay.
So is there a point where you think you'd start to notice it yourself, or would it be that late?
It would be that late, unfortunately. So it's usually not until the bones start meeting that you get problems. So that water trapping and then recurrent infection. So even if you're not wearing plugs, it's really important to have your ears checked perhaps every 2 years, just to see if there's any changes happening.
Yeah.
If you're not going to wear plugs.
Okay. And something interesting today, I left my plugs back up where we're staying, and I never, ever get in the water without them. I've done it once, forgot it, and it felt awful. But so today, I bought a set of other generic earplugs, and I won't slate other earplugs. Like you say, they do a job, but having gone in and spent a day surfing with an ear push plug, the whole time, one, I couldn't hear anything. Maybe it's me making an excuse that I felt like I was unbalanced on every wave, but I did feel that difference. But also, even now, my ears feel sore because they're just being pushed in as well as I can push them in, as opposed to a plug that is moulded specifically for my ear hole and fits perfectly and stays in there without anything else.
Absolutely. So that's why the plug was designed, really. So Claire, myself, and our colleague Tom, who we were all working at Trelisk Hospital together, Tom moved to the area and was a little bit horrified of what was going on with people's ears in Cornwall. Because obviously when we see them, it's at the hospital, it's at advanced stages. So he did a bit of research why people weren't wearing plugs, and a big thing was comfort.
Okay,
and the next thing was hearing.
Yeah.
But in terms of comfort-wise, so our plugs are made from a really soft clinical-grade silicone. So it's the same that we'd use for a high-powered hearing aid, with the idea that they have to be worn all day. But also as well, with a high-powered hearing aid, you need to get a very good seal on the ear.
Okay.
Otherwise, the sound escapes and feeds back onto the hearing aid. So it works really well for surfing as well.
Yeah.
And the hearing channel, actually, so it's literally a pinhole that pushes all the way down as far as the length of the plug.
Yeah.
So actually it's channeling hearing into your ear.
Exactly. So it's everybody's ear shape's different and they bend differently. So when we take the impression, we go a little bit deeper, and then the manufacturer can see which way the ear canal's bending, so they can feed the sound down to the eardrum rather than it feeding against the sides of the canal.
Okay. And the process, so obviously you guys are based in Newquay and Penzance. If someone's listening to this in Aberdeen, how, if they wanted to get Surf Mould Pro, how do they go about getting that done?
They get in touch with us, and we can send them information of how to get plugs in their area. It would always involve seeing an audiologist, which means that you get your ear checked for all sorts of things, not just surfer's ear. And then so they would do the impressions and we can process it from there.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and then what sort of cost do they come in at for? Like people are looking out there. I had someone the other day saying, I'd really love to get some like specially fitted ones, but I don't know if I could afford them. And then, like you said, even the like generic ones, there's not a lot of difference in price.
No, so our plugs we do a plug without a filter, which again is custom made. So it involves taking the impression. It's still going to give you that same level of protection. And they start £79. And then the Surf Mould Pro with the filter, that's £129.
Which is almost double a generic plug. But if you were to lose a generic plug, which I've definitely done several times in the past, half of what you're paying for is getting the impression done. You retain the file, don't you?
Yeah. So the plugs are going to last a good 8 to 10 years if you look after them. The pinner, the ear slowly grows over time. So what you probably notice after that time is they're getting a little bit loose. But if you lost a plug between in that period, then all of our impressions are 3D scanned, which means you don't need to come back and have the impression taken again. You can just give us a bell and we'll order one for you.
Sorry, 8 years is... So in my head, I'm like 6 months for to change a meter. So actually, about 8 years is what would any amount of change...
It's only the youngsters that need to change theirs that regularly.
Okay, right.
I don't think you quite qualify as that.
That's not very nice, is it?
But it's true. So that is a concern for parents with their children. The children are growing, and their ear canal is going to grow. Okay. But if they're in the water all that time,
so they are cheaper for children.
Yeah. Okay.
So we discount for children. Children's plugs start from £64. And then the one with the filter is £99, I believe.
Brilliant. In terms of, we spoke about before, knowledge is power and getting the message out there. I believe you guys do road shows and talk about it. Yeah,
we do. And we go to lots of different places in the southwest. So my colleague Claire's regularly up the Wave in Bristol. We cover clinics in North Devon. We've been to Bournemouth a couple of times, haven't we? So
I know you British Surfing Museum you go to a lot, isn't it?
We do.
North Devon,
and even South Wales. So down at the Gower, Claire goes there a few times a year as well.
So if there's any surf clubs, swim clubs, etc., that massively immersed in that, listening, that might be interested, would you be willing to do a travel and talk for them if it's
if it works
viable,
in with our
obviously?
viable, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even if it's not viable, even not for us travelling, if there's a large number in one area, then contact us and we can work with a local audiologist better.
Yeah.
But rather than just people one-off contacting us, but if there's a whole group, I think it would probably work better with a specific audiologist in their area.
So we've got a great audiologist that we work with in Ireland. We're looking for other audiologists. So if there is any audiologists out there that are like hospital trained and can recognise certain pathologies and diseases, then definitely.
You'd be surprised at some of the weirdos that listen to this podcast.
Well, you're clearly passionate about this, and quite rightly. But where did the sort of journey begin with it? How did you get into it? And then the Surf Mould Pro, where did that start?
So how did I get into audiology? Or
was that just was that always your thing? Went to uni and that was what you wanted to get into?
I got into audiology about 23 years ago, and I guess the Surf Mould Pro thing, it kind of like for Claire and I, surface ear was just always there. We were like, it's what happens to people's ears in Cornwall. Even to the point where we'd have like junior doctors like coming and saying, I've got this ear, it looks a bit odd, I don't know what it is, like there's growth in there, and asking us what it was. And it's surface ear. So I guess Claire and I were a bit complacent about it until Tom came down and then sort of opened our eyes really that this isn't normal. This is preventable. Let's do something.
Yeah. And Gav, how long have you been an audiologist?
That's not fair. I'm not an audiologist.
What is it you do, Gav?
Well, at the moment.
Okay. And how does that tie into what you do with Surf Mould Pro? What's your sort of role?
Well, at the moment, on my days off, my role is assisting Julie with that. So she does the specialist side, and I'm the admin man and personal assistant. So
you're the hearing and you're the noise. Is that kind of how it goes?
I have to say as well, like just to add in, Claire's not here today, but Claire's husband, Chris, is just surfs. That's his life, surfing. And when Claire first met Chris, he already had quite advanced surfer's ear many, many years ago. Sorry, Claire and Chris. But she encouraged him to wear plugs, and all that time it hasn't progressed.
Okay.
So Claire is she's got first-hand experience. She's got 4 children who are into their surfing. So for her, it's a massive thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you don't all surf. Not everyone surfs. And do you surf?
On and off.
Dabble.
I dabble.
Okay.
I dabble.
Does that go back a while or?
Yeah, on and off. All my life. My dad was a big surfer, so I didn't have much choice. Third in the British Juniors, 1966. He always says. Long time ago.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, you've got surfer's ear.
I have, and I've got about the same amount as my dad, and he surfed from 14 to his 60s.
Right.
So
okay.
we've both got about 30%. How that happened, I don't know.
Well, that's probably a good point. That, you know, whether you dabble or you surf every day, you know, sort out your ears, look after your ears.
He surfed in the summer, obviously, back in the day, but didn't surf in the winter so much because his wetsuit consisted of a rugby shirt and a pair of jeans. So got a bit cold.
Is there any other way to do it? I mean, come on.
You know, he was quite happy with his very, very shorty and vest or something throughout the whole summer.
Yeah.
That was as much as he put on when I remember him surfing. So,
and how about yourself? How long have you surfed?
Oh, crumbs. I think I started in the Devon coast. There's a place called Shalibra. I was about 9. And it's been a continuous, it's been a constant for me. But like I said, it wasn't just the surfer that causes surfing here with me. But my 3 children all surf. My wife surfs. So, you know, we've all got to be very aware, and I'm very overprotective of their ears. And I just want to, I'm sat here as well, and I'm just listening to all this. I'm just very quickly. It's really frustrating sometimes when you know there's an answer to something and to stop something. You know that you could do something to stop something.
Yeah.
And you can't. You just want everyone to know about it. And obviously, Julie knows this and Gavin knows this, but obviously, whatever schools I work in, whenever I'm supplying my specific sessions, the beach school sessions or the community classroom sessions, where we're on the beaches, it's one of the first things I will introduce to the children and the adults and the parent helpers and the volunteers about being outside. Let's enjoy this beautiful nature, this environment, but we've also got to be aware we've got to look after ourselves. And we always talk about, you know, you ever heard the phrase, there's no such thing as bad weather, it's bad clothing? Well, we might not have surfers here if we had the right things. Oh, guess what? We have. And it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
So the message has to be pushed out more. It's got to be. I'm trying to do my best through the schools that I work in, and of course the people that I come in contact in through my kind of business. But like I said, I do believe that the industry who we want people working in the outdoors, they have to now stand up and go, it's PPE, it's personal protective equipment.
Of course it is.
You're going to work for me. I'll supply that. I'll help supply those, and it should be an ongoing thing.
And you're right, Carl, because there's legislation for noise damage.
Yeah, of course there is.
You know, where you've got to wear noise.
I think something like that should start with something like surf schools. If you've got instructors,
100%.
you supply them with plugs.
Yeah, but I think everybody's an advocate, aren't they? So parents are an advocate. You know, if you're surfing and you've got 11, 12, 13-year-old, you know, wear plugs. Set a good example.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can I do a total side note? So you said you started in Devon.
Yeah.
Was that you were born in Devon?
Yes.
And you now live in Cornwall?
I do.
Cream first or jam first?
Oh, I don't. See, my wife's Cornish. my whole other side of my family is
Gav's
Cornish.
looking intently for this answer.
I'm not answering.
I'm with you, Carl. I'm a Devon girl.
Are you?
Yeah.
Should we say it? No, we can't. No, it'll kick off. I'll get hate mail.
And to be clear, Carl, if you were my teacher, I wouldn't mess about in your class.
Why not?
No,
listen, you should come and see one of my sessions, because probably one of the reasons why I have really bad ears is not because of the surfing. When I disappear in a rock pool, fully submerged, and come back up with the biggest crab you've ever seen in your life, that's where I've got my bad ears from. When I'm teaching them about all these crazy things and I'm swimming here and swimming there, that's probably what's happened. So we call it crab ear instead, or rock pool ear. Is that all right?
And how bad do you think the problem is with surfers' ear?
Oh, I think it's quite demographic, to be honest.
Yeah.
How bad down here? What percent? If you had to, I know
there has been a study, actually. One of the consultants at the hospital did a study, but I'd have to look at it to tell you. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be a fairly high, surprising number?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the teenagers and the young children, you know, they're competing internationally and going around. You know, they're going around Europe. They're, going for Europeans in Portugal from the ages, before their teens. So we've had some, good young surfers in their early teens, 13, 14, come in, and they've clearly got the development of surfing at that age. But it's slightly different to when my dad started surfing. They are in all year.
Yeah.
And they are in they're finishing school and they are down, right, which is the best beach? It's high tide this evening, right, we're going Watergate Bay. And they're there and they're timing it 5 hours a day. You know, and that is a lot of water. That's a lot of cold air flushing in and out of that ear canal. So and I think the outdoor life is just increasing more and more, and people need that relief from everyday life, or they're looking for careers in that. So it's just going to increase. People are in there more and more. Just look at the sea. You know, you go out and just see how many people are out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, the odds of people having surface ear is high.
What I was going to just say on that, what about people that say, like, especially like Mitch has already said, people think they only need to wear clothes in the winter because it's cold, and then they'll go, oh, it's all right because I've got a hood in my wetsuit, so you know that's going to protect me from the wind or whatever. Have you seen people that have just been wearing hoods and still, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. With still advancing surface ear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my son is one of those. He thinks by just wearing a hood he was okay. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I presume you're going to get some little wind protection, at least from having a hood, but it's not going to stop the problem, is it?
It's not going to stop the progression.
It's not going to stop water going in.
Dean, I hope you're listening. There's a Dean that said that.
Just very quickly, picking up on something Gavin said, actually, this might be a bit controversial, but I remember back in the day with the BSA, we used to have the British Surfing Association way back in the day. I was a coach for one of them, and we helped coach the kind of British surf team. And we had this kind of insurance thing. We used to pay some money. So if you want to be part of the BSA, they used to pay some money. And if you got your board dinged or you got injured, you would have an insurance. I actually believe that we need to look into this again. We've just been saying, Gavin, that we have youngsters out there training so hard now. They're in the water constantly, spring, summer, winter. This is their chosen sport. Well, if we are representing them and they have a representative body, whether it's UK Surf, British Surfing Association, whoever it is, if you're paying into a membership for them, some of that membership money could now enable to go towards some sort of PPE for the ears. We have to start looking at that. Other sports do it. You know, you pay into a governing body and they make sure those payments are going towards some specifics for those athletes.
Yeah.
Why is that not happening?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great point. And I was going to say something similar as well. And that, you know, you mentioned it before about the surf schools having that responsibility, but I don't think, you know, then the surf clubs clearly, who provide the safety in the water, lifeguards, etc., so they can go out and train safely, clearly have a responsibility. But I think that needs to be pushed at a governing body, of which we have individual governing bodies for each home nation, and then sit under a banner. That's where I think responsibility needs to start and be pushed down, because it always has to start from the top and come down. It never works the other way around, because that's where it's getting highlighted at a higher level. And like you said, from a young age, if you're aware of it, which I think probably more people are, and you'll know more than me from a younger age, like yourself, you're so passionate on it, which is great to hear. Like your kids probably tell their mates as well, and that stuff passes on.
Mine were really gory. They actually showed all their mates my pictures of my operation, which was great because it scared a lot of kids. Went, oh, what, that can actually happen? See, that they were saying that, and that's weird, isn't it?
Do you know what?
I think it's because they say surface ear. No one takes it serious.
If you don't mind, if you've got pictures of that, if we could overlay them on this so people can
They're
see.
not very nice.
It will come with a warning.
So say a warning now if you don't like looking.
We'll show the inside
like
of the ears as well, not just the outer bit. It's horrible.
Yeah. I think as well, like just coming back to but as well, it almost was like a badge of pride. Like I've got surfer's ear, and how crazy is that?
That's absolutely. She's right there. You know,
really,
it's almost like you can actually say you're a real surfer because you've got surfer's ear. Wow, how ironic is that? That's the most. That is actually happening, by the way. Yeah, I got surfer's ear because I've been surfing for 25 years. What, you want surfer's ear? That is true. That is absolutely true. So that's why I need to stop calling it surfer's ear. Maybe it should be a badge of pride.
I was going to say call it idiots here, but
well, hey, hands up.
That's why I sort of stopped myself. I said it anyway, didn't I? So.
Do you know what? There's if you
just lost half your audience, they're all going, "Am I an idiot now?"
No, they won't be able to hear.
If they've got surfers here, they wouldn't have heard that anyway, so it's absolutely fine. There's a few questions we normally ask. Obviously, you don't surf, so you can't really answer it.
No.
But for the two of you that do surf or dabble, we always ask about worst wipeout in the water or worst experience surfing.
Easy. Lanzarote, La Santa. Absolute nightmare. I went out with 4 guys who were really, really good. I was overconfident. Paddled out back. No, didn't even paddle it back. Jumped off the point. If you know La Santa in Lanzarote, it's a horrible, horrible, nasty, shallow reef. I jump off the point. there's a guy called Nick Carter. He won't mind me mention his name. He was European longboarder, right? He's absolutely brilliant. When a guy like that paddles up next to you and goes, Coral, it's getting too big. We have to go in. And you go, how do we get in? Over the reef, Coral. And then you watch this amazing, just beautiful longboarder get absolutely nailed in front of you and get ripped over the reef, and you see his board going up and down, and you hear his leash go ting, and you see his board snap, and you go, now it's my turn. And you're nowhere near as good as him. It was horrendous. I remember taking the first 3 or 4 tumbles, and then you hit the reef, and you do, and it's a horrible thing to say, but you do literally go, that's it. I'm gone. That's it. And you think of everything. Oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do this? What have I done? And then you come up for your next breath, and here comes the next set, and you have no control at all. But it's the most relieving thing. I didn't care that I had black sea urchins everywhere. I didn't care that my board was in 2 pieces. I didn't care that I had a gash in the back of my head. I remember just running up the beach and kissing the beach. Just going, I've made it. So La Santa, Lanzarote, early 90s. Never again, ever.
I literally can't believe, given what we're talking about, you didn't say your worst experience was getting Surfers here.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He couldn't wait to tell that story, could he? I hope that comes up in conversation. And Gav,
I can't follow that.
Come on, Tolcon, big Tolcon Day closeouts. They're massive.
That was our call yesterday.
Great Western getting cramp in both calves and just drifting towards the rocks, just thinking any minute my calves will start working and I can move and swim away. But nah.
With all the cramp in the water, it's not cool, is it? It's always at the worst possible time as well. Always.
You're just not doing anything. You're just waiting for it to go. And
and we'll go this way round this time, so you don't have to worry about following. If you could only surf one spot for the rest of your life, only one spot, where would it be?
Both feet on the end of the board.
No one's ever done that. No one's ever done that.
I'll just drop the mic now.
Now it's back to you. Follow that.
No, I've been really fortunate. Our family, we've just spent 2 weeks in Coroleco, Fuerteventura, and we had a beautiful little house that faced Rocky Point. And for me, I've surfed quite a few places, and I don't mind walking over that reef to surf that wave. I believe it's one of the best longboard waves and the waves that you could ever surf.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rocky Point for me, Coroleco, Fuerteventura. Yes, please.
Amazing.
Brilliant. And where can everybody find you online?
They can find us at www.surfmouldpro.co.uk.
And Instagram, Facebook, all of that?
Instagram, Facebook, just email, phone call.
And when's your first surf experience? Have you never actually surfed? Or have you been in?
Yeah, a long time ago, and just got thrown around everywhere. So. And
there's no interest in. No, I mean surely that story inspires you to want to.
It's funny when people do talk to her and they presume she's a surfer and she just kind of nods without.
I don't. I come and I say I feel like such a fraud, but I'm just is.
Just own it and just make up stories. Like use that story.
I hate surfing. I just love it. But yeah, that's been brilliant,
guys. This is
guys.
not that kind of podcast, is it? About ears. It's not ear fetishes, is it?
That's what we're into.
Oh, okay, right. That's what they're here for.
Ear for.
We didn't do any ear puns. That's what we should have done. A whole load of ear puns.
Yeah. And do you know, actually, before you finish, I just wanted to finish on the bags that Surf Mould Pro come on from my friend Ellen. Cool.
Oh, they are amazing. So we were getting our little pouches, and we just wanted something that was like local, sustainable, a bit more ethical. So Ellen from Snugs makes our little pouches from the offcuts from their wetsuits, which we think is brilliant.
No, I love them. Actually, I always know where mine is.
I will be purchasing some of those.
You just need a Mitch and Tartan version, Ellen, if you're listening.
What's your colour, Carl? What would you like?
You got any pink?
Yes, we have got pink.
Salmon or pink?
That's actually what I would have said as well. Yeah. Love a pink.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you want to add.
Just really quickly, the comfort. I just told you I was away for 2 weeks at Fuerteventura. We came out of a surf on this place called the North Shore, got in the car, went back to our little house, got ready to go out for a meal, and my son said, "Dad, you're definitely taking the surf plugs out your ears, aren't you?" I was still walking around with them.
Brilliant.
But you can hear.
Do you know though, I've done that.
Hilarious.
I've done it like demonstrating the plug, and the person's left, and I'm like, where have I put that plug?
Yeah,
And it's in my ear.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
That's actually a good point. When you do use plugs, is don't take them out when you're in the water, taking your leash off, and then tuck them inside your sleeve of your wetsuit. Walk out, get back to the car, do everything else, then take them out. Once your hands have warmed up a bit as well, I've managed to pick them with my claw fingers, trying to get them out. And just there's no rush to take them out. But people do. They say, "Oh yeah, I took them out as soon as I was getting out of the water and I lost them." Like,
Do you know what? It's funny you say that, because I've done very similar. I walked from the van in my wetsuit. It was still summer, so the wetsuit was half down. So I was looking like a legend. And, you kind of get the folds in your wetsuit down there. I don't know why. I've never done that before. But I put the plugs inside the fold of the wetsuit. I even said to myself, "You're going to lose them." And I went down, ran in. I literally, as I got in the water, I was like, "Oh, plugs." I went back. I found one on the beach, buzzing, and I couldn't find the other one. And it was only halfway through the session, I could feel it like just digging into my hip. And I was like, "Oh, at least it's there." I was buzzing. So only have them in your ears or in the bag. But you can put them on a string as well, can't you? We didn't say that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Because for some people, it's odd not having a string to keep them together, but you don't need it.
So you can have a string. You can take it off. It's detachable. Mm-hmm. So if you just want it when it's big, or just saying, we did have one guy actually. They float, and we had a guy had a red pair. He took one out in the surf to show his mate. Dropped it. Thought, "Oh, that's it. It's gone." And he found it. It washed up.
I don't think there's any neon colour, unless it's got lights in it where I live, and the colour of the water. you ain't finding that. It would have to make a noise.
We're going for like a little tracker GPS system on there as well, just to help out.
Just to help out Mitch. But I think that's it.
Great.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
You.
Well, thanks for that. I think, as we said at the start, we don't want to share our opinions before you guys got to listen to what the team at Surf Mould Pro had to say, and I hope you found it as informative as I wanted it to come across.
Yeah, it was the information there. You've got the angles of someone who's had surfer's ear and had the operation, so they know how painful it is. An audiologist that is, just by the small conversation of like that I had with her beforehand, knows an incredible amount of, I don't know what the correct word is, of audiology. Is that all?
Audio stuff.
Yeah, audio stuff.
She knows loads of sounds.
Yeah. She collects ears, and but it's just absolutely, they are amazing. Like you said in that, a generic plug will do something for you. It will stop that cold getting in, and it will help. But the fit on this, because it's molded specifically to your ear, it doesn't even feel like you've got anything in your ear, and you can hear so clearly, like not with a hood on. If you've got a hood over the top, but the hood's going to do that to anything. But
of course, it's going to be a bit of a muffle, yeah. Yeah,
but when you've not got a hood on and you've just got them in, it's like Mitch was saying before. Oh, it's clear, and I was like, yeah, right. Well, my surf ears that I use, they're clear as well. But there's a big difference in this. There's a big difference as in this. I'd say that thing of surf ears, and I've used the North Core ones, and I've used, I can't remember what the other ones, some generic ones I used. You always get, even though you can hear, it's still a little bit like, a little bit like muffly.
The difference is if you've just got a push to fit, which, I'm not discrediting, and neither are Surf Mould Pro actually, any of the other brands, because like yourself, Pete, I've used probably the vast majority after getting that sort of one ear infection and realizing how severe it was. And they did work. Of course they work, because they're stopping that water ingress. But then it's the comfort feel. It's being able to hear, which it's one of them. If you've used any sort of surf plugs, right?
Yeah.
you're aware of not hearing. But then, like you did when you first got your ears into Surf Mould Pros, suddenly you can hear, and it's a bit like, whoa, what's happening here? It's almost like that. I can't use anything else now because I've experienced that.
Yeah.
They're fantastic, and I don't really know where to start with everything we spoke about, because there's so much to it. I don't know. Maybe let's start with the obvious part with cost.
Yeah.
Because it's one of them, right? If I was to explain to somebody these plugs that I use and why I use them, blah blah blah, and then they say, how much do they cost? And I say, in and around 120 quid for the pro versions.
Yeah.
They might immediately, and goes back to the same principle with the FCS thing, with fins. Well, that's really expensive. Well, is it though? If you really break it down, for what you're getting, yes, that's probably around twice the price, I think we agreed.
Yeah.
Whatever the latest price are for other plugs.
Yeah.
But they're still generic. You're getting something molded specifically for your ear hole that isn't going to come out. It's not going to fall out. That works perfectly. That's going to give you that, that level of guarantee of protection.
Yeah.
And should you be unfortunate enough to lose one in whichever fashion, I don't know, swallow it or leave it in your wetsuit or whatever, you're not paying that price to have it replaced, because what you've paid for essentially was the mold process in the first place, and that's now on a file somewhere.
Well, it's lucky you're not in a band, are you? Because they do exactly the same thing, and it costs you about 1,600 quid. Just so you can, there'd just be a little wire going into it so you can hear what's going on it. So it could be worse. But it's I don't know. It's one of those things where I thought generic ones, they're great. They do work. They do the job. But it's just the hearing aspect which is so much better in this. And
well, the hearing and the fit, though, that's the thing.
You're the fit, it doesn't feel like
squeezing your ear.
Yeah, it's to that point. It doesn't feel like you've got anything. You can tell it's in there, because when you try and take it out afterwards, it's quite difficult to take it out. You've sort of got to push the back of your ear and push it forwards.
Well, it's like Carol said. Carol. That's how Scottish people say Carl. It's got an R in it. Carl. It's like Carol said. He went out for dinner with a family, and his son pointed out he still had it in.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess just a testament as to its comfort. But at the same time, having spent the afternoon with Carol, I imagine he could come out the water with a shark fully mauled onto his leg and not notice.
Yes.
Absolute bear of a man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was you wouldn't mess with him, would you? He was a machine.
No, and I was actually gutted I didn't get that cuddle.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. He's somebody you want a cuddle from. It'll be a really warm and friendly and just a safe cuddle.
Where are we going?
I don't know where we're going.
Just drifting off.
I'll tell you where we'll go from that was how bad his Surfer's ear was.
Yeah.
That experience, and just to go through that journey and actually to hear it from someone in person, there's nothing pleasant about any of that at all.
Yeah, and while we're on the ears, what did she say about my ears? I can't remember again. Was it that they're?
I don't think
were they perfect?
I think on every episode since.
I'm sure she said I had perfect ears. I'm sure.
I think your ears are that bad. You're hearing so much random stuff.
Look at my face. I've got to have one good part on my body,
true.
on my head that's good.
True. And an internal part.
It's an internal part. The outside of it. Just look at it. That's why I wear a hat. Just cover up as much as possible.
The other thing that the takeaway, and I think I got this wrong before, but I was off a few degrees, was the fact that it would be easy to assume in the summer that you don't need to put anything in your ears in the UK, especially, in the south of France, Cornwall, the same warm water. 19 degrees, that is the coldest temperature where you can stop wearing plugs.
Yeah.
We never get close to that in the water.
No.
And again, it's the ingress of water and wind, the wet, the drying, and the blowing a hoolie through your ears. That's where, surf ears start. And so easy to...
Do you reckon if you pee in your wetsuit, that warm water that comes up will,
I wouldn't know. You're asking the wrong person, as we've established a lot. Well, that's a salty Safa. He's a tramp.
Yeah, salty tramp. Yeah, that's what we should rename him now. The salty tramp.
Well, I tell you what, he's right now. I've spoke to him today. He's on his lifeguard course in Yuki.
Yeah,
with Era Adventures, and he had a massive surf. I think it was double overhead yesterday.
What's he's on about 39 or 40 now, isn't he, or something like that this year?
He was on 37 last time I looked.
Yeah, I think he's had two more since. So,
yeah, he might have. So he's done the. I guess it's probably not new, but Logan Nicol really sort of took some traction with it and got some global press. So Logan, friend of the show, obviously had him on as a guest, and he has done this thing for years where he counts every single surf he has, every single session. Can't quite remember the criteria for if you have multiple surfs in a day. You know, I think if you get out for an hour and get back in, that's 2 surfs.
Yeah.
Getting out to go for a pee like me,
doesn't count.
Getting back in, that doesn't count. But I think I spoke to Logan the other day, and I think he's already in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And it's only we're in April. Salty Safa's in the 30s. But I feel like what's happened is that every time Logan ticks off another surf in his yearly quiver of potential surfs, what that does is deletes one potential surf that I would have. So I feel like I'm on this balance point with Logan, and I'm losing. I'm on like 9.
Yeah. I don't even know how many I've had this year. Not as many as I should, though. Definitely.
Well, I'll tell you what was good was, obviously you came up here when we recorded the Scotland stuff.
Oh yeah, Scotland was great for surfing.
Well, there was no surf here when you were here, except when we went up north. But man, this week, on my doorstep, some of the best waves I've ever seen on the East Coast, and I mean,
I'll tell you what, St Andrews looked perfect as well. That day that Swanee posted some pictures of it, and you missed that one, didn't you? I think.
No, I didn't. No. Oh no, that was a couple of days before. No,
you missed that one though, didn't you?
I missed that one. Yes.
Good.
Well, last Thursday at date of recording, which was actually only a couple of days ago, because this is out this weekend, Sunday.
Yeah, we should explain the intro and outro is recorded a very long time after the actual episode was recorded.
Yeah. So Thursday there was a swell inbound, and actually it arrived really early, which took everyone by surprise.
Yeah.
And we ended up with this perfect. It was big, it was punchy, it was clean, and it was just such a defined wave.
Yeah.
It was just the kind of wave that you don't have to be a good surfer to look like a good surfer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Long as you can take off, make a drop. Like I had back to back the backhand of my life followed by the forehand wave of my life, and it was just bang, bang, bang down the line. It just felt amazing. And for me, actually, on the backhand wave, I mean, I get pretty excited when I surf anyway. Like you've seen some of the clips and whatever. I get really stoked for other people as well as myself. But I think with everything that's gone on over the last, year, it was like the surf I've been waiting for. But it actually was really emotional. Like I let out some noises. Like people must have at the end of that backhand, people must have been thinking, did he just get shacked and do an air or something? And that's literally nothing happened except I went left. But oh man, it felt amazing. I needed it.
Freaked yourself out that you were going left, not right. I'm going left.
Well, no, the thing is, I enjoy going left because going back to the dodgy pop.
Do you goofy or regular?
No, I'm regular. But
do you know? Shall I tell you an interesting fact? I found out the other day that I never knew why it's called Goofy.
Yeah, it's because of Disney. Because of Goofy the character.
Did you saw it as well then the other day?
No, I didn't see it. I just knew that. It's just I thought that was common
knowledge. I did not know that it was called Goofy because all throughout skateboarding, like Goofy or regular was just which way you stood. Yeah, I never knew it was from 50s. Disney because it was Goofy.
They put in the 50s.
Yeah, and they had him surfing the wrong way round. Yeah. Well, the wrong way round, because we all surf the right way round,
Yeah, well, I believe if you're left-handed, I think there's a correlation between coordination and the brain because it's on the left side. Yeah. So left-handed people tend to be better coordinated.
Yeah, I'm just weird because I do like right-footed football. Apparently, I tried to write with my left hand at school, but they wouldn't let
Oh, is
me.
that right?
And then left-handed, I played golf left-handed or cricket left-handed.
Right.
But then other stuff like when I used to play rounders at school and that, I always played that right-handed. So I was just all over the place. I don't know what I am.
See, cricket. You literally just stopped my heart. I can't believe you mentioned cricket.
Well,
anyway,
when I'm at school, I don't play cricket now.
It's not even a sport; it's a game. Anyway, we digress. I think I'm reverse ambidextrous.
Yeah. You just use nothing.
No, what I mean by that is that I can do fuck all with both hands.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can do nothing with nothing.
I can do anything. Doesn't matter which one I use. So I enjoy going left because what I realised when my dodgy pop-up is that going left means I can grab rail pop-up.
Yeah.
It helps me pop up. I'm not trying to pull into anything because there's nothing to pull into. It's just choppy white water. I
told you, get one of them Zimmer frames fitted to your board and you'll be getting up well quick. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for today's show. Surf Mould Pro. Brilliant. Go and check them out. Go and order some. I know Paz has already ordered some and got some, and I think he loves them as well. Yeah.
Good.
Well
look
worth
after
it.
Your ears. Look after your ears.
That should be the new outro. Look after your ears and each other.
And each other.
Or look after yourselves and your ears.
And your ears. Look after your left one, look after your right one, and everything in between.
Yeah, that'll do. See you later. Thanks to sponsors of this show, Surface, that's SRFACE. Head over to Surface Wetsuits and you will get 10% off anything you order by using the discount code UKSurfShow23.
And if you want to get 50% off the annual edition of the Adrenaline Athlete Training Program, which is a strength and conditioning program designed specifically with surfing in mind, and this is a home program or a gym version of the program. I have used the program for the last year and I swear by it. If you want to use the home edition, on the Adrenaline Athlete website, use the discount code SURFHOME50. And if you want to use the gym edition, it is SURFGYM50. And that is 50% off the annual membership.